Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So it's not only crazy, it's cruel. And I'm really angry about this case. I'm so angry. And I had to report on it because I think too often elderly people, they don't get the same media attention. Maybe their cases are not as, titillating as others or whatever, but they do. Do you know what? They deserve as much attention, if not more than most. People like this man, John Mackey. He was 87. Let me just check that that's correct, but because you can hardly believe it, can you? But 87 years old, John Mackey, 87 years old. And this man lost his life for a few groceries. He was targeted coming out of a co-op, which, for those of you who don't know, if you're in a different part of the world than the UK, and maybe you don't know what a co-op is, but a co-op is a supermarket, the cooperative store, which supposedly gives its profits back. It's sort of owned by the people who shop in it, if you like. Anyway, he was at the co-op. Most British people will have a co-op in their local area that they probably use on a regular basis. It's a budget supermarket. And he went to the co-op, probably like he did every day, this guy, because pensioners, they're often in a routine, aren't they? When I look at this guy, it reminds me of my dad. My dad would probably be that age if he was still with us. He's not with us anymore. But, he's like that gentleman sort of age where he's probably, what are you doing? What are you doing? I have a horrible feeling that my dog is being sick. Do you know what? Dogs, they said, get a dog, it'd be fun, they said. What's the matter? What the hell's going on? Oh. Hey, what you like? What you like? Ay. Yeah, get the dog, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Yeah, it's great fun having a dog. Great fun. Not. God. What's wrong with you? Just calm down. Yes. It's great to have a dog, isn't it, when they're sick, just as you're starting off a stream. Anyway, not a lot or anything, but just running around too much, running around, getting all excited. Just chill out. Yeah, have a little bit of water. So let's start again, shall we? So this poor man, John Mackey. So yeah, he's from that era, probably when people went to the shops every day, didn't they? And bought a little bit. We tend to go to the supermarket now and get stuff in. But he's elderly. He's a widow. He probably just has a little bit of shopping every day. I was thinking about him, and I was thinking, at least you can make supermarket deliveries now, but this was probably part of it. He probably looked forward to going to the shops every day, having a bit of contact with the outside world, talking to people, that kind of thing, because a lot of elderly people are lonely, aren't they? Hi Darren, hi Daniel. A lot of elderly people are lonely at home, and just getting out to the shops and talking to people, that can be like the highlight of their day. And, he just bought a few things from the co-op, a box of cornflakes, a Saveloy sausage for his lunch, a cottage pie in a packet, so just a couple of things that he had in his bag. And as I say, this was probably part of his daily routine every day, to go out and just get in what he was having for lunch. And again, as I say, I was thinking about it and I was thinking, yes, we're all living longer lives, which is good as long as you're in good health. But then, you become vulnerable as you get older. This man, he was very frail, very slim. He was a target, to unscrupulous people. I mean, you've got to be a pretty much of a total twonk, haven't you, to target an old person, just same as a child. But people target these vulnerable people. There's a hierarchy, isn't there, I suppose? So they target children because they're, easy to control. They target elderly people because they're frail. They target women because they're less powerful than men generally. There's this sort of predators of whatever kind, be it, for money, be it for food, which it seems in this case he was robbed for the food that he had. But I'm sure this man, if the man who's done this to him, maybe would have asked him for some food or £1 or something to buy a packet of cornflakes. So it probably doesn't buy you a packet of cornflakes these days, a couple of pounds. Maybe this man would have given it him if he had it. You don't need to rob people, and certainly not violently. He didn't need to rob this man violently if he needed the food so much. This man is frail, a paper bag could have blown him over. Why did he have to violently attack him so that he actually died? I'm just fuming. I'm just thinking, is this what society has come to when this poor old guy, you get to 87, so he's lived his life, he's probably worked all his life, he's done his contributions, he's probably been married, had kids or whatever, he's gone through all the things of life. He's in his golden years. He deserves to be safe. Old people deserve to be safe. They've contributed to society all their lives. And then suddenly, when they get to be vulnerable, they should be protected. They should not be attacked like this. There's no extenuating circumstances for this, because even if the man who did it was starving, there's no excuse, as many people are. And this is the guy who did it. He doesn't look too clever, does he? I mean, you can tell that he's got problems, issues. He's supposedly homeless. Maybe there's a drug issue, I don't know, or alcohol issue. I don't know about that. But all I know is he had no right to attack this man to the extent of, he died as well. It's disgusting. Just says something about the society that we live in, doesn't it? And anyway, he's just been sentenced, and we're going to have a look at this. He's just been sentenced to life, which I think life for him is going to be about 23 years or something, but he's already served. He's got 22 years and 162 days left of his sentence to serve. Peter Augustine. Now, I've put him in the hellhole. If anyone was more deserving of going in the hellhole, it's this man, into the hellhole. And, I'd like to say, oh, may he rot in prison or whatever. But I think he'd be quite happy in prison, won't he? He was homeless. He was homeless. He didn't have any food, etc. Now he's going to be looked after. He's not going to have to worry about going to the shops and being attacked for a Saveloy and a box of cornflakes, because he's going to be served up 3 meals a day in prison, isn't he? Now, I don't know how other prisoners feel about people who attack elderly people. Probably not that, I don't know if he will receive any aggression from the other inmates. I don't know how inmates feel about this kind of crime. But at the end of the day, he's going to get 3 square meals a day. He's going to get medical attention, instant medical attention. He's going to get all those things that Mr. Mackey had to do himself. And he wasn't even safe doing it. It's really made me angry. I got so angry when I read this. Anyway, let's have a look. I'll just show him in the hellhole one more time. Joe, I was watching a YouTube channel the other day and they were saying that maybe this is hell that we're in. Sometimes I think, is it? You know, this life that we lead is hell in some ways, isn't it, for some people? Or heaven as well. You know, it's sort of what you make of it. Are we already in heaven or hell and we're just having to deal with it? Don't know. Or are we just here are we here to learn? What are we here to learn? Sorry, I could get all philosophical, but I'm not going to. But yeah, really has made me angry, this case. So let's have a look what happened to poor Mr. Mackey. So, a robber who murdered a pensioner and stole his cottage pie, jailed for life. Well, do you know what? I hope it was worth it, Peter, for the cottage pie and the Saveloy and the cornflakes. You took a life and you've condemned your soul to eternal hell. So, he fatally kicked, punched and stamped on a pensioner before stealing his box of cornflakes and a cottage pie and a Saveloy. The thing is, did he need to kick, punch and stamp on him to steal his carrier bag? He's from the co-op. Well, literally, this guy's 7 years old. All he had to do was push him over. Didn't even have to do that. He probably could have just got hold of the carrier bag and took it and ran off. He certainly did not have to kick him, punch and stamp on him. I am so angry. I hope you rot in hell. Honest to God, I do. You have really you have put your eternal soul in jeopardy. And I don't care if you were, and I've got a lot of sympathy for homeless people. I think homelessness is a terrible, terrible thing. But do you know what? There's loads of homeless people out there. They do not go fatally injuring pensioners. So he was targeted by unemployed Peter Augustine, 59, after he visited a co-op store in Manor House, North London. So this happened in London. Everybody knows where London is, even me who's crap at geography, on the afternoon of May the 6th. So Augustine was convicted of murder and robbery by a jury at the Old Bailey earlier this month. And on Friday, he was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 23 years. I think that's a good sentence. It can never be enough, in my opinion, for a murder. He's 59, so if he's got to do 23 years, so he'll be 79. He'll be in his 80s when he comes out. And if he comes out, he probably will be allowed out. I can't see that they will keep him in, though he probably will want to stay in prison. He won't want to come out of prison, will he? Where will he go? But do you know what? He's inviting a big karma, isn't he? Because he'll be in his 80s then. Maybe he'll be going to the co-op one day and some homeless person will fatally stamp on his head. This poor man and his poor family. My heart goes out to them. He was literally just shopping. So is even shopping dangerous now? Now, as I was thinking about, and I was thinking, you can get your shopping delivered these days. People in my family do. Well, I do, and that's, for me, it's more for time and also that I just don't like supermarkets, don't like people. But, for elderly people, it's sort of a godsend in a way, isn't it? Because it's the lifting as well. That's why a lot of elderly people will go daily for shopping because they can't carry, unless they've got a car or whatever, and they may not have a car or they may no longer be driving, and they may not have family or I tell you what, my dad, he had family that he could have asked to take him shopping, but he just wouldn't ask anyone. You had to virtually turn up at his door and say, come on, we're going to the supermarket. If you didn't do it, I don't like to bother anyone. I don't like to bother anyone. and unfortunately, obviously I was in Spain for a lot of the time, but if ever I was there, I would just make him go with me to the supermarket and get stuff in, because my dad didn't drive and he would be on his bike, getting shopping every day on his bicycle. Bless him. But anyway, so the other thing I was going to say, but it's part of their socialization as well. My dad would get on his bike and off he'd go up the road, and all the neighbours would be talking to him on the way. He'd be offering to get them something. Did they need anything from the shops? And my mum used to be at the window, so jealous. She was so jealous. If anything happened to me, they'd all these widows along the front here, they'd all be trying to get in with you, Dad. And they probably would, because he was still handsome. Up to the day, he died at 75, but he was still a handsome man, So, but she was funny. She was quite jealous of him. And, the women did like him. Women loved my dad, and he was... it's funny because he was the life and soul of the party outside the house. He was one of those. And in the house, he was very quiet, He certainly wasn't the life and soul of the party. He was asleep he used to sit on the floor, actually. He was asleep on the floor more than he was the life and soul. But, yeah, he was the life and soul when it came to parties and things like that. Now, so that was part of socializing sometimes for elderly people. Someone like this guy who, bless him, if he lived alone, probably that was a time when he went out, he had a chat with the shop assistants, had a chat to people he met on the way. He probably enjoyed getting out of the house when he could, in the winter it's not much fun, is it, going out there when it's freezing cold? But otherwise, when would you get out? So a lot of people maybe wouldn't order. And if he lived on his own, he wouldn't need much, would he? He's going out, he's buying a box of cornflakes, Saveloy sausage for his lunch, and a cottage pie. That was probably his meal for the day, his meals for the day. And then probably the next day he'd go out and buy it again or something different. So yeah, having a shopping delivery, you need to make it worthwhile, because you have to pay the delivery charge. So, if that was me, I think when it comes to the day when I'm living on my own, I would get like a month's shopping in. I mean, I get a month's shopping in now, but it lasts like 3 days, because it's not just, that's having sort of a 6'5" son, like living at home. But I think as you get older, you do eat less, don't you? And you would just make sure you could get a month's supply in. But then, of course, you wouldn't be getting out of the house, would you? You wouldn't be getting out of the house. And having that's, I say, probably part of his daily routine, going and having a little chat to everybody. And the other thing I was thinking in the future, elderly people, obviously as generations, people die and then other people are elderly, because we all get, if we're lucky enough to live, we all get elderly. Nobody's excused from it, are they? But in the future, and even now, I think not just because someone's elderly means that they're not internet friendly. You can socialize online now, can't you? So you can join groups online. You don't have to be alone. You can be living alone and maybe never even leaving the house, but you can still have an internet social life, which is good. You can talk to people. You wouldn't feel so alone. That's what we do, isn't it, with the YouTube channels? People chat, with people that they'll probably never, ever meet in person. But there's a safety in that as well, isn't there? So you just got to be careful you don't get sort of catfished, or, people don't try and get into your bank accounts or whatever, but you don't get scammed. But really, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for old people of the future, if you like, pensioners of the future, who will be savvy with internet. They'll be able to socialize online. So maybe it won't be the same crushing loneliness. So people can feel this crushing loneliness. The thing about loneliness is It's a difference between choosing to be alone and enjoying it, even the solitude, and being alone because you have no choice, because maybe all your family, your wife, husband has died, maybe most of your friends have died. By the time you get to 87, I mean, that's a long life, isn't it? So a lot of people you knew will not unfortunately be with us anymore. So you lose a lot of your friends. It's harder to make new friends. So a lot of old people are so terribly lonely. Maybe their family live miles away, if they've got any family. So it can be a very lonely time, which is a terrible shame, isn't it? And that, is the difference between choosing to be alone, like antisocial people like me who actually quite like being on my own. But but again, it's because it's a choice, not because I'm made to be on my own. And it's rare for me I won't say I never feel lonely, but it's very rare, because there's always something I can do. And if I feel lonely, I can get on the internet or, but I don't know about Mr. Mackey. Probably going to the shops was part of his routine for not feeling lonely. Probably he would do that in the morning, or it was the afternoon. And then come night time, once it went dark, it'd be curtains closed, watching the telly, enjoying his Saveloy and chips or his cottage pie or whatever he'd got in for dinner that day. And there he was, just in his normal routine. And this horrible man picked on him. And make no mistake, he picked on him because he knew he was easy pickings. He wouldn't pick on someone who looked like he could fight for himself, would he? Hi, Lily. Hi, Admit. Hi, David. Is she saying? Oh, sorry, Daniel. Yeah, I've said hello to Daniel. Yeah, it is despicable, Admit, isn't it? Despicable to pick on an old man like that. So this man, apart from being, total twonk, but he is a coward. Anyway, let's read about it and see the videos. I just wanted. Now, he was an Arsenal fan. That's a shame. That's the only thing. Okay, but he was an Arsenal fan, bless him. Arsenal Football Club fan Mr. Mackey had lived in London for about 70 years, and he always had a twinkle in his eye and dressed immaculately in one of his trilby hats. This is the old generation, his tie, his hat. He's an old-style gentleman, isn't he? And you know what? He deserved to live out his golden years and die peacefully in bed, not to be attacked on the street by this demon. It's just horrible. How scared he must have been. I just hope he didn't know much about it, bless him. But anyway, his family told the court he always had a twinkle in his eye and he dressed immaculately in one of his trilby hats. Augustine did not attend his sentencing. I thought they were stopping that, where people would refuse to go to the sentencing. He said he had back pain. Oh, diddums. Oh, bless. He had back pain. That's probably from, maybe an injury sustained, kicking an 7-year-old to death. Oh, God, I'm so fuming with this guy. What horrible, horrible man. Handing out her ruling, which was broadcast live from the court, Judge Sarah Whitehouse said, I have no doubt that the defendant targeted Mr. Mackey because he was frail. It was a cowardly act and the defendant has shown no remorse. Augustine has spent 203 days on remand and therefore has 22 years and 162 days left of his sentence to serve. He was sentenced to 4 weeks imprisonment for theft and 8 years for robbery. All 3 sentences will be served concurrently. Okay, let's have a look at the sentencing. How long is it?
John Mackey was 87 years old when he was killed. He had no children of his own, but he had 22 nephews and nieces who plainly adored him. His niece Patricia spoke on behalf of all of them in court this morning. She said Uncle John was the perfect uncle, funny, charming, mysterious, and very definitely mischievous.
Oh,
He always had a twinkle in his eye, dressed immaculately, and was never seen without one of his many trilby hats. He was always interested in our lives, taking us to see his beloved Arsenal, or introducing us to the pubs of his home patch, Manor House and Finsbury Park. Family was everything to John.
oh,
He was never happier than when he was with his brothers and sisters, as he was one of 11.
oh.
There was always so much laughter and storytelling when they were together. He had lived a happy and
So he was one of 11 siblings, but he had no children of his own, but he had many nieces and nephews. Bless him.
fulfilled life unhindered and without incident until that fateful day. For him to be taken from us in such a way is difficult for us to comprehend. He was a well-known, popular and respected member of the community.
Imagine getting all the way to 87, negotiating through life's tribulations. You think then you're on the, as I say, they call it the golden years, don't you? Should be, you can't relax by the time you retired and what have you, and just enjoy your life, whatever it be. You don't have to have a dead exciting time. For some people, enjoying their life, doesn't mean, whizzing off here, there and everywhere. My dad liked to be at home in his garden. That was heaven for him. So he had 11 years of retirement, and then unfortunately he died. But, at least he had 11 years to relax and enjoy his garden and everything. Now, this man, he's probably just enjoyed watching football, being with his family, simple pleasures. He had the right to live out his life calmly, peacefully, and die peacefully in bed. That's what is the, nobody wants to think about dying, but at the end of the day, that's one thing we are guaranteed. But at least to die peacefully in bed, not, he had the right to not be a victim of violence. And here, this is what happened to him. It's terrible.
But was still remembered in his hometown in Callan, as demonstrated by the number of people at his funeral, all with a story to tell about the lovely, kind, generous gentleman. That was John Mackey. He was a one-off, and we will remember him always with love and a smile. Peter Augustine killed this gentle, innocent man.
Yeah.
He attacked Mr. Mackey for a box of cornflakes, a pint of milk, and a Saveloy sausage.
Yeah.
I have no doubt
a demon.
that if the defendant was genuinely starving and had asked Mr. Mackey for help, this kind, generous gentleman would have shared what he had with him. On the 6th of May of 2025, at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, John Mackey left his flat and made his way to the Co-op in Seven Sisters Road. He bought a box of cornflakes, a pint of milk, and a copy of the Daily Mirror. Then he made his way to a takeaway shop and bought a Saveloy sausage and some chips.
Oh.
He packed everything away carefully in his black hold-all bag before making his way slowly back towards his flat.
I bet that was his daily routine, wasn't he? Just what he did as part, as people get older, they get more into routines, don't they? They get quite ensconced in their routines. Not doing any harm to anybody, just having his little gentle life. Oh, dear me.
The defendant watched Mr. Mackey all the time he was in the takeaway shop. The defendant told the jury that he was hungry and wanted a kebab. He thought of going in and grabbing one and running away, but there were police cars about, and so he decided not to do that. Instead, he followed...
Thought about running in and grabbing a kebab. Well, he would have been better off doing that. Listen, if he was starving, and he doesn't look like he's eating too clever, that's for sure, the guy. But somebody would have given him £1, or probably Mr. Mackey would have, or the kebab owner might have even given him a little kebab or something. It's just making me, this morning when I popped to the supermarket, the little old lady that sits outside the supermarket, she normally has a little dog with her. Now, I haven't seen her for ages. Anyway, she was there and I gave her €1. I always, now, she's probably got more money than me. I noticed when she had her teeth done, she had a gold tooth on it. But, at the end of the day, she sat out there at 4 degrees. It's freezing cold. I asked her where the dog was. She said that it was too cold for the dog. bless. Too cold for the dog, but she was sat there, and I mean, I don't know how old she is, but she looks about 70 herself. She might just have had a hard life. I don't know. She might not quite be as old as that. But, it doesn't matter to me whether she's got money or not. She's going to sit out there for I'd rather just give her €1. It makes me feel good to give her €1. She's always so appreciative. She always calls me guapa, which is nice. I'm not. Guapa is like good looking, but she calls that all the women are guapa and all the men are guapo, because she wants you to give her a euro. Just I don't know. I just, if I've got a euro, sometimes I haven't got a euro. No, I mean, because I haven't got cash sometimes. That's the point. Most of the time now you buy things on card, don't you? So I haven't always got any spare cash. But if I've got a euro or even 50 cents or whatever I've got, I try and give her, or there's another guy who sits out there sometimes. I forgot why I'm saying this now. So what I'm saying is, this Augustine guy, somebody would give him a bloody Saveloy or a portion of chips or something, surely. So he picked on the most vulnerable person that he could. It's foul what he did. He looked at that old man and thought, oh, he'd be easy to rob, but he didn't only just rob him. Why didn't he just grab his carrier bag and run off? Why did he have to stamp on him?
On Mackey for some distance as he made his way home. He waited until Mr. Mackey entered a secluded space in the park that was ringed with hedges, and then the defendant attacked this frail gentleman. There were no witnesses to the start of the attack, but there were witnesses who saw the later part of it.
Oh.
They described seeing the defendant punching Mr. Mackey repeatedly with considerable force, and one of them heard the defendant shouting, "Give me the bag, give me the bag." One of the witnesses also described what he said was a stomping movement on the part of this.
Hello, babe. Imagine stomping an old man like that, or even punching an old man, even pushing them. It just couldn't do it, could you? You couldn't do it, because your brain would tell you that is the wrong thing to do. He can't have been that. He can always have got for this soup kitchens, this place. I mean, this is London. London has a lot of places.
Defendant. Mr. Mackey had suffered multiple areas of impact trauma to the head, neck, and body. He had external bruising and abrasions, deep muscle bruising, 2 rib fractures, and the bleed on the brain.
Oh, rib
fractures. He died from his injuries on the 8th of May. I'm sure that what happened was that the defendant tried to grab Mr. Mackey's bag.
Thing about when you get older, your bones are so brittle. So rib fractures, I had a friend who unfortunately found his friend dead. He was dead in it, and he gave him CPR, and it broke his ribs. But he was deceased. Unfortunately, he didn't survive. But because he wasn't that old, to be honest. The guy, he was maybe in his 50s, early 60s. But that's how fragile your bones are as you get older. I mean, they just are. They just break just like that. So the thing is, he didn't need to use all this force. He's probably gone to steal the bag. The old guys tried to hang on to it, I imagine. Of course, you think he should have just let it go, but he's not, he's not going to, is he? It's his. Why should he? But, that be, his thinking, why should he have it? Why should he have, you could imagine it all will have happened so quick. He maybe didn't even have a chance to think. And this man has actually stomped on a frail guy like that. Now, you've got to be pretty much a piece of shit to do that, whether you're homeless, whether you're starving, whatever you are. You've got to be pretty much a piece of shit to have it in you to do that, haven't you?
He hung on to it, and the defendant lost his temper, punching Mr. Mackey in the head and body with severe force, far in excess of what was necessary to steal the bag. The defendant's conduct during the trial demonstrated that he is a man incapable of controlling his temper. He refused to attend the trial for much of the time, but when he was in the courtroom, he was disruptive,
Yeah.
shouting angrily from the dock on a regular basis. He was insulting, abusive, and aggressive when prosecution counsel attempted to challenge his account of events. His behaviour was so extreme that after repeated warnings, I had to take the rare step of excluding him from the court, despite the fact that he was in the middle of giving evidence.
So he's shown no remorse whatsoever. He's disrupted the proceedings. She had to ban him from the court. You know, she's not even sorry, this twat. Sorry, twonk. He's not even sorry about what he did. I mean, it's horrible. You know, he really, literally, where's that bloody hellhole thing again? He is literally going to be spinning in hell, I hope. Come on. As I say, I've already put him in the hellhole. I think we'll have a look at him again in there. You know, just nasty. You know, just how can people, he's got no redeeming features whatsoever. He's not even sorry for what he did. Good God.
His behaviour increased the distress and anguish of Mr. Mackey's family as they sat with quiet dignity.
Yeah, the family had to see that.
The defendant's legal team quite rightly arranged for him to be assessed by a psychiatrist, but the defendant refused to attend the appointment.
Oh.
There's nothing in his medical records to show that he's ever been engaged with any form of mental health services.
How do they get to refuse to attend the appointment? You know, why do these tossers get so many rights? So he didn't attend the sentencing hearing because he said he had a backache. He didn't want to attend the psychiatric hearings. How does he get the right to say no? I don't understand that. You've got no right to refuse when you've been charged with murder. You've got, and now found guilty. You've not got a right to refuse.
I come then to the sentences in this case. The sentence I passed for the theft committed on the 3rd of May of 2025 is one of 4 weeks imprisonment. The sentence I passed for the robbery of John Mackey is one of 8 years imprisonment. Those two sentences have been taken into account in setting the minimum term for the offence of murder. They will be served concurrently with that minimum term. The sentence I passed for the murder of John Mackey is one of life imprisonment. The minimum term that he must serve before he will be considered by the parole board will be one of 23 years. The defendant has spent 203 days on remand, which will count towards his sentence, and so the minimum term is 23 years less 203 days.
So that's his sentence. He's got a life sentence, minimum 22, 23 years. So he's going to be in his 80s when he comes out. I don't think he'll be sorry about that sentence because this man is homeless. He was so hungry he had to murder someone for a Saveloy sausage. So he isn't going to give a shit that he's in prison for 20 years. He's probably rubbing his hands and thinking, I'm going to get looked after now for 20 odd years. Honestly, the more I think, I mean, I am not in favour of the death penalty. Nothing will make me in favour of the death penalty. I do think it's wrong for anyone to take a life, be it the state or whoever. But, you know, maybe a bit of hard labour. I do think prisons are too soft. You know, prison's not supposed to be an enjoyable experience, better than your life outside, is it? You know, for someone... If you're having a fabulous life outside, you know, if you were rich and you had, you know, lots of holidays and a lovely life, yeah, well, prison is a punishment, isn't it? But for someone like this guy, it's not a punishment. It's better than the life he had before. So maybe a bit of hard labour or something might be a good thing. I think it's just got to be, prison's got to be harder, I think. You know, it just has got to be harder. Not him thinking, oh, I'm going to have a nice cushy, me 3 meals a day and doctors looking after me and, refusing to go to appointments if I don't fucking feel like it. How dare he refuse to go? How dare he not show any remorse? How dare he? Anyway, let's have a look how the attack unfolded. So Mr. Mackey left his home on May the 6th shortly after 5 p.m, wearing a trilby hat and a grey Macintosh coat, carrying a walking stick and a black bag. At 5:12, he went to a co-op in Manor House, North London, and he bought cornflakes, a cottage pie, and a Mirror newspaper, which he put in his bag. He paid with a £20 note and kept £11.50 change in his pocket. Bless him. 18 minutes later, Augustine began following the pensioner. Then Mr. Mackey went to Manor at 5:36 to buy sausage and chips, while Augustine loitered outside. And the victim was last seen on CCTV at 5:50, and Augustine reappeared 3 minutes later carrying what appeared to be Mr. Mackey's bag. Passers-by reported seeing Augustine attack Mr. Mackey, search his jacket while he lay on the ground, and another witness called the police after hearing a shout of "Give me the bag" and seeing Mr. Mackey lying motionless on the ground. And then Augustine told police he had not murdered anybody when he was arrested. Let's have a look at his arrest video. Twat.
Yeah. So we'll leave that there. What the fuck? I haven't murdered nobody.
Yes, that's suspicion, yeah?
Suspicion? I haven't killed no one. What are you talking about?
Sir, you've been cautioned.
He's not murdered nobody, he says. Not murdered nobody. Oh, God, I don't know how the police keep their cool with these people.
Yeah. So we'll leave that there. What the fuck? I haven't murdered nobody.
Yes, that's suspicion, yeah?
Suspicion? I haven't killed no one. What are you talking about?
Sir, you've been cautioned.
No, suspicion. Thicko. He's a thicko as well. Oh, I'm so angry with this guy. Really
what
angry.
the fuck? I haven't murdered nobody.
Yes, that's suspicion, yeah?
Suspicion? I haven't killed no one. What are you talking about?
Sir, you've been cautioned.
Yeah. Not murdered nobody. Yeah, right. Have you forgotten about CCTV? I mean, this is what thickos they are as well. So apart from being a coward, a twat, a lowlife, a disgusting person, he's a thicko as well because he's not murdered nobody. Well, has he forgotten about CCTV? Did he really think there would be no CCTV in London? Anyway, Mr. Mackey, bleeding from his head, briefly regained consciousness but could not explain to the police what had happened. He was treated in hospital for bleeding on the brain and broken ribs, but he died 2 days later on May the 8th. He probably just gave up, this man. Do you know what? He probably fought this for a game of soldiers. Sorry, excuse my French, but I am really angry about this. Sod this for a game of soldiers. I'm not going back into that life again. Who was going to look after him? He'd be terrified of going to the shops forever. Bless him. I hope now he's reunited with his wife or whoever he's lost in his life, and at peace. And I hope, he's just okay now. I hope so. So police pieced together the events from CCTV, although the attack itself was not captured on camera. Prosecutor Jane Bickerstaff, KC, told the court. So this pillock who's saying, "I've not murdered nobody," when they went to his room, they found his groceries and the wrappings from the cottage pie and the sausage and the chips. But it wasn't him, of course. He's not murdered nobody. This cottage pie and Saveloy and chips just materialised out of thin air. Anyway, while he was in custody, he showed no remorse, making threats, acting violently, and throwing hot coffee at an officer. So this is what all this. There's a lot of police bashing done, isn't there? And, don't get me wrong, if the police do something wrong, they should be held responsible for it. But I think we have to remember that the police put up with a lot of shit as well. And, having hot coffee thrown at you by this tosser you know, it's like, you know, nobody would want to do that job, would they? No wonder they can't get good staff half the time, because who would want to do it? They don't even get appreciated for it. Anyway, Mr. Mackey's niece, Patricia Shan, described her perfect uncle as funny, charming, mysterious, and very definitely mischievous. It's so sweet. I can imagine. I bet he loved it when he was around all the family and everything. And went on to criticise Augustine's behaviour during the trial. The proud Irishman, this is Mr. Mackey, also he's Irish, was a well-known, popular and respected member of the community, but he was still remembered in his hometown, as shown by the number of people at his funeral. You know, it just shows you these quiet people. You know, he was doing probably that little trip, probably having a laugh and a joke with the people in the supermarket, the people he met on the way, and they will turn up at his funeral. You know, this is what happened with my dad's funeral. The amount of people that were there for a man who hardly ever left the house except to go and do his bits of shopping and things. The amount of people that were at the funeral is just like, oh my God, where have all these people come from? Because he was so well respected. Even the window cleaner was crying, and the insurance man, and, you know, all these sort of, I don't know if you remember, you know, when the insurance man would come to your house, like. Anyway, Miss Shan said the defendant's behaviour showed complete disdain, disrespect and disregard for the family throughout the trial, and caused even further distress from what was already an extremely traumatic appearance. As a family, we have had no dealings with the police or the court system. His refusal to even attend during the trial, I thought weren't they supposed to be bringing in a law about that? Has it not come in yet? Caused anguish and uncertainty, because we didn't know what we would be facing on a daily basis. He was constantly turning around, looking at us, shouting at us, and frankly terrifying us from the witness box, which was just a few meters away. So this is his nephew in the centre here, Adrian Kennedy, or one of his nephews. He came from a big family, had a lot of siblings, but he had no children of his own. So family members gave statements outside court, with Mr. Mackey's nephew describing it a relief that he had not attended. Well, that's a different way of looking at it. I suppose if he's not behaving in court, they didn't want him there, you know, because it would have just been even more traumatic for them. So he told reporters the lack of respect from him, because he was so disruptive through the trial, and the complete lack of respect he showed our uncle and us as a family, today was just one of relief, because he would have disrupted it so much that it wouldn't have happened as it did. So anyway, okay, that's good. They were glad he didn't turn up. Tosser. Oh. Well, John, I hope you're raising a glass up there. What a horrible man. Right, I'm going to play his hellhole thing one more time, and then that's it. I'm never going to show his face on there anymore. Let's have a look. Let's put up he's in the hellhole. That's the last time his name will get mentioned by me, or his face will get seen. I hope he suffers. I know that's not very Christian of me. Sorry, I maybe won't feel like that in a couple of days, but at the moment I'm so angry with him. I hope he does suffer. So, yeah, rest in peace. I hope he's okay now with whoever is already gone there in front of him, loved ones. Hi, proud liberal. Yeah, unfortunately that is a common occurrence, isn't it? In America, it's like terrifying, isn't it? Just to go to, well, so there you go. If you've got a shooting there at the mall, but do you know what? We don't have the guns in the UK, but look at this poor guy. There he was, just buying his bloody Saveloy sausage and chips. Probably looking forward to a night watching the telly. I don't know what night it was, but maybe that's You know, he'd have his little routines, wouldn't he? And there he was, just not doing any harm to anybody. And that twonk, sorry. But I better go because I'm going to start swearing and then YouTube gets angry with me. So, but you know what? I wanted to tell this story, and I wanted to tell this story because I think these sort of, you know, when elderly people get attacked, etc., they don't always get the same attention, do they? Their cases aren't so high profile. I wanted to talk about John, you know, because he deserves as much attention as anyone who becomes a victim to violent crime. And sometimes, as I say, elderly people don't get the same attention. But I thought this was such a vicious attack. So what can we learn from it? I mean, the thing is, if you've got an elderly relative that lives alone and makes these sort of trips, you know, all you can do is check up on them. I mean, you can't stop them from going and, you know, doing their little shops. I'd say it would be part of his routine and part of his socialisation if he lived at home. He'd be going out and having his chats to the people in the shops. He probably was a regular in that co-op. He'd been a regular in the kebab shop. He'd see people walking. He probably went out at the same time every day and did that. So, you know, older people tend to have their routines, and that was his way of talking to people as well. So you can't tell them not to do it. What is the answer? I don't know. I mean, I do think part of there is a big societal problem, you know, with homeless people. I don't know, I'll say if this guy was on drugs or if he had mental health issues or what. He's refusing to go for appointments. So what can you do with someone like that? You know, but there is, I don't know, why are, you know, older people, they need to be protected more, but I don't know what the answer is. Now, the only good thing nowadays is the CCTV and everything. I'd rather see a few more policemen actually round and about. I mean, here in Spain, there's police everywhere you go. I think I don't know about, there's not so much CCTV here. So, well, not where I live anyway. But there are police like everywhere. If there's somewhere, a place like London, you probably don't see that many police, but there is CCTV everywhere. Just shows you how thick this guy is, that he didn't even realise that he's going to be caught on CCTV. You can't, you know, you can't sneeze without being caught on CCTV in London. Maybe the actual attack wasn't caught on it, but, you know, him waiting for Mr. Mackey, coming back with his carrier bag that he said he didn't murder anyone, but all the stuff from the carrier bag was in his where he was arrested. You know, so what can we do? You can check up on your old elderly neighbours who you know live alone, or your family. Sometimes it's difficult because people like to be independent as well, don't they? They like to be independent. Mr. Mackey probably enjoyed his independence at 87. Probably didn't want to go into a residence, or, you know, because you can voluntarily go into residences, I suppose. There's quite a lot of sheltered housing, isn't there, in the UK? I know of a lot of people who live in over 50s accommodation, like you just can't have children, obviously. You know, once your children are grown up or whatever, you can go into these sheltered accommodations, but that wouldn't have saved Mr. Mackey, because even if you're in a sheltered accommodation, that means you've got some protection where you live in, and you've got people checking up on you maybe and stuff. But when you go to the shops, you haven't got any, you know, need a bloody bodyguard, don't you? You know, these days, if you're you know, elderly people need bodyguards. You know, most people would not hurt. Like, I think we have to remember that most people wouldn't dream of hurting an elderly person, or a child, or a woman, or anyone. You know, the biggest majority of the population are law-abiding, don't, you know, do horrible things to other people. Because we're a true crime channel, so we talk about true crime, and sometimes it can overwhelm you and you think, oh God, nowhere's safe. But in general, most people would not do things like this. So that's what we have to remember. But it hasn't saved John, has it? Bless him. Anyway, I hope he's okay wherever he is. We'll say a little prayer for him. I'm going to go now. I'm going to have a Saturday. If you're watching this live, it is Saturday. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to go off, and I hope you all enjoy your Saturday. I may be back at some point today. I'm not sure. Possibly not. It's Saturday. I'm going to have cooked a curry and, you know, have a little drinky poos because I don't have to drive today because it's the weekend. So, yeah. Lily, the man from the Peru. Yeah, the insurance man, he used to come, was it every week or every month? I can't remember, but he used to come to our house. My mum and dad did everything the old-fashioned way. He paid everything by going to the office and paying it because didn't have internet payments then. You know, I like to pay things online and not have to go to the office. But having said that, it's quite depressing sometimes. Literally, I can sit in my chair for 15 minutes and the next thing I know, I've spent €500, not on anything interesting or exciting, just electricity bills, water bills, internet, you know, whatever, the streaming, you know, you literally sat there just go, boom, oh, there's another €50, oh, €100, oh. And you, before you've even moved out your chair, you know, your bank balance is just diminished, disappeared. But I like to pay like that. I don't pay by direct debit. That doesn't work for me. But yeah, I expect Mr. Mackey, like my dad would go round all the different offices and pay everything, you know, pays rent because he was still in a council house, pays rent, pays electricity, everything on his bike. It's a different world, isn't it? You know, I don't know now. People do most things online now, don't they? Which is easier and more convenient. But yeah, I suppose it, you know, it takes away that social factor of, you know, just if you're an old person who lives on their own, they probably quite enjoy going out to the offices and going to the co-op and that and having a little interaction with people. I mean, to be still independent at 87, that's pretty good, isn't it? So, and then this twat comes along and takes it all away from him for a Saveloy and a Cottage Pie. Anyway, okay. So, listen, I hope friends are okay, Proud Liberal. Hope all your friends are okay, and I hope it gets resolved and nobody dies. You're saying some people are in hospital, but hopefully nobody will actually pass away. I hope so. Unfortunately, it is a common occurrence, isn't it? It's scary, actually, isn't it? But as I say, it can happen just because we haven't got guns. I mean, it doesn't happen in Spain, and yet the police have guns in Spain. But there's not really a gun problem in Spain. It's funny, isn't it? It's not a knife problem either, yet. I found in Spain everything happens 20 years on from where it happens in other countries, so it might come one day, I don't know. Okay, so thank you very much. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And let's say some prayers for John and his family, of course. Condolences to the family. I'm so sorry that you had to go through this. And yeah, rest easy, John. Thank you. See you really soon in the next video. And until then, look, the dog's coming up now, she knows. And until then, may your God go with you. Thank you.